Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of those corporate filings that are drier than the Sahara. Today we're diving into Cameco Corporation's Form 40F, and let me tell you, it's not exactly a beach read. Get ready for some talk about uranium. This Form 40F is basically their annual report, like a yearly checkup for the company. It tells us how they did over the past year, what they're planning, and what risks they see on the horizon. Cameco is a big player in the uranium business, mining and selling it for nuclear power plants. So if you're curious about the future of nuclear energy, this report might have some clues. The report covers the year 2024. First off, Cameco had about 435.3 million common shares outstanding as of the end of 2024. That's a lot of shares floating around. The company confirms they filed all required reports, which means they're keeping up with their legal duties. They also submitted all the digital data files they needed to. Now, before we get too deep, there's a section on forward-looking statements, which is basically a disclaimer. Companies use these statements to talk about what they expect to happen in the future. But they also want to make it clear that things might not go as planned. They use words like anticipate, believe, and expect. It's important to remember that these are just predictions, not guarantees. So take everything with a grain of salt. Next, the report talks about internal controls. Think of these as the company's safeguards to make sure their financial information is accurate and reliable. Cameco's CEO and CFO did an evaluation and said their controls are effective, meaning they believe the company is doing a good job of reporting its financial results. It's worth mentioning that in 2024, Cameco put in place a new system called SAP S/4HANA, which is a type of enterprise resource planning or ERP system that's used across the company. As a result, Cameco had to change some of its existing internal controls and put new controls and procedures in place. The company's auditor is KPMG LLP. This section provides the fees paid for audit-related tax and other services. Cameco enters into deals that aren't necessarily on the balance sheet. These include financial assurances and long-term product purchase contracts. If you want a clear image of future cash obligations, check pages 53 and 54. The audit committee is responsible for overseeing the company's financial reporting and audits. It's made up of independent directors who are supposed to be looking out for the interests of shareholders. The audit committee includes Daniel Camus, Catherine Gignac, and Leontine van Leeuwenthijn van Gignac. You can find the 24 audited financial statements as Exhibit 99.2 in the report. Okay, now let's turn to the really important stuff, the financials. The report includes information about the fees paid to their independent auditor, KPMG LLP. As a foreign company listed on the New York Stock Exchange, Cameco has to explain any major differences between their corporate governance practices and what's expected of US companies. This helps investors understand how the company is run. You can find these differences on Cameco's website. Also, the report states that Cameco has scheduled meetings for the non-management directors without management participation. Now, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. Cameco operates in a pretty unique industry, uranium mining. The demand for uranium is closely tied to nuclear power. There's a lot of debate about whether nuclear power is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely a major source of energy. So Cameco's success depends on the future of nuclear power. One of the big risks for Cameco is that uranium prices can be really volatile, meaning they can change quickly and unexpectedly. If prices go down, Cameco's profits could take a hit. On the other hand, if prices go up, Cameco could make a lot of money. It's a bit of a gamble. Another risk is that Cameco faces a lot of competition from other uranium producers around the world. Plus, the uranium market can be affected by government regulations and international trade agreements. So Cameco has to keep a close eye on what's happening in the world. Cameco seems pretty solid. They are upfront about the risks ahead, showing that they're aware of them. If you are betting on nuclear power's long-term role, this might be an interesting company to consider. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give us a like, drop a comment and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. See you next time.